Hey, it's Jay with 1791 Actual. Thanks for stopping by. We're doing a little bit of repriming today on some 357 Magnum. So we've already got the couple of things out, and we're ready for this session. Let's get this boom cam raised up a little ways. We can see a little bit better the top angle, and we're going to need our ram prime tool. And let's see, we need our 357 Magnum 38 Special die set. We've got some Winchester small pistol primers that we're going to be using. Got our brass that's already been decapped, and that being on there, that's where we're going to work. We're going to work from, and I think we'll hang another bin back here. That's where we're going to work to. You can see that setup with the tool crib that I made, the saddle bin system that I made for this press, and these all just go on and off to configure however you like for whatever you happen to be doing. I mean, there's even longer one if you had need of hanging something even further out there on it. There's also a deep one. You know, if you got a lot more brass, you might work from the big tray to the deep tray. There's different ways that you can use this. And all we need out of our die set is the shell holder. And these are Lee dies, so this is a Lee number 11. And we're going to come over here, cut over to our press cam, and we'll go ahead and let's go ahead and wipe the end of it. A little bit of crud on it. Put our shell holder in. Fits nice. Okay. So next, we're going to grab our priming arm, and we're actually going to do this a couple of different ways. I just want to demonstrate how these two different tools work. The priming arms actually have, we've got a large and a small, and I went ahead and invested in additional arms so that I don't have to take these apart and put them back together constantly. I discovered that it's really easy to lose these springs if you're not careful. So this one has a thin wall, which means it's for the larger primer. It's got a larger hole. It's got a thicker wall, a smaller hole. Get our dies out of the way. We also need our anchor screw. A lot of guys leave this part attached to the press all the time, but I've found that due to space constraints, sometimes it kind of gets in the way. So you just slip that through there. Helps if you turn it the right way. Show you in just a second what I mean by right way. Snug that down. Right way being so that when your ram comes up, this just drops right in place and comes up through the shell holder. So the next thing we need is some primers. For primers, we'll get out our primer flip tray out of our drawer. Put the drawer away. We'll use that later, and probably in a different video. But I've got 32 pieces of brass in here, so I need 32 primers. I happen to have 2 laying off to the side there that were left in a previous box. And actually, we're going to set those over. Flip them in. Yep. And if you do an entire tray, this will actually accept one of these inner liner trays perfectly. But I kind of putzed that, didn't I? So the way that this works with these, there's little rings in here. And when you shake it around, the nature of the primers, I don't know who invented the first one of these. It'd be kind of interesting though, because somebody was a genius in the fact that these primers, as tiny and light as they are, have a heavy side and a light side. These are called anvil up because this is what's referred to as the anvil part. And when you run them across these little concentric rings and shake it around, they actually flip so that they are all anvil up. Now you can use this to with a priming tube, an auto prime tube, to pick these up, and they're properly oriented. In my case, since I'm not using that mechanism, I'm actually using my priming arm take my rubber-tipped bent-nosed tweezers, pick one up, set it in, and I keep my tweezers hanging on the side of the press with a big magnet. So now we can flip over to our press can. You can see what I got there. I raise that ram a little bit, gets it up, makes room for the case to go in. Press it down, press it in, and now I have prime case. And I can toss that in my other work bin. Drop my ram back down. Another one in. Another piece of brass. Seat. And I always check these guys. I want them to be at or just below level with the base of the case. And I've got my ram set up, or my primer rod set up so that I get exactly that depth every time. Shove it on, and in it goes. So let's do a split cam view. Again, we're going to come down here. We're going to grab our primer. I'm going to come over here and drop it in. Pop our case in. Press it in place. And check it. And this is a tedious process. It's not not a fast process. You know, there's a lot faster ways. There's different types of priming tools that you can get that can actually run these a whole lot faster. There's auto primers that go on the press or off to the side that will also give you really fast priming. But in my case, I don't mind. I don't mind the time. I don't mind at all spending time at the press. I enjoy this process. A lot of guys get into reloading and hand loading. You know, you've got the super cautious guys that are doing loading for custom loads. That you know, where they're working up specific custom loads. They use instead of calipers, they use micrometers for everything. And then you've got the guys that shoot a lot. You know, we're talking, you know, thousands and thousands of rounds in a weekend. And they've got the big, super expensive you've got big, really expensive equipment that reloads huge amounts of ammo at a time. And the reason I keep dinking with this one is that is not quite as deep as I would like. I think maybe that pocket wasn't clean, but I think it'll be all right. But you know, you got guys like me, you know, retired, have time on my hands. Well, I like what I do. I enjoy the act of reloading, just as a hobby in itself. You know, I collect up all the brass that I can collect up at the range that I go to, and go to an outdoor range. And like I said, I collect up all the brass that I can find, and bring it back. You know, whether it's mine or somebody else's, I bring it back. I clean it. I treat it. I load it. And for me, beyond the setup and the price of the components is a lot less than the price of finished ammunition from a manufacturer. I did mention earlier that I was going to show you a couple of different ways to do this. So let's take a look at that option 2 for how to reprime. And to do that, we're going to go ahead and take this arm off because we don't need it. I'm going to use a different tool called a ram prime. And we'll take those two parts off. We're going to pull our shell holder. The shell holder is actually going to go on top. And we put this piece in. It's the rod holder, and you've got this this rod with the priming cup in the end. Goes right in there. The one thing about this that I wish was a little bit different was if this was a little bit tighter and that it fit into that hole a little bit better. the way that it's beveled at the bottom, I don't think it should be beveled at all. I think it should sit flat down in. The other part that we need is the die, the priming die. And this one, I actually have this one set. I used one of these type lock rings that has a set screw that goes straight into the thread, so that it's not going to go anywhere. And all I got to do is snug that in place. Grab my wrench here. It doesn't have to be monkey tight. Just, put it in a little bit, and then your shell holder goes in the top. Now, what happens when my ram comes up? My shell holder comes, or my primer cup comes all the way up through my shell holder, and I set my primer in place. Make sure he's in flat. Drop the ram. Put my case in place. And as the arm comes in, I can actually feel it starting to go in. I barely press down, and it's perfectly set. Now, this is actually my preferred way of repriming. I just wanted to show the other one because it's kind of the default with these RCBS presses. This setup will always put my primer where I want it. Now, this one actually looks like it damaged the edge of that primer. Something wasn't quite on point. We're going to need to redo that one here in a minute. Could be that my primer wasn't quite perfectly flat. Something you got to watch with when using this ram prime. There it goes. Slipped right in. Didn't have to press it all on that one. So the other one, the last one, I actually had to press down on that arm just a little bit. Normally, the weight of this control arm is usually enough to put a primer in right there. Right there. Another thing that I like about this mechanism is that literally I can drop that arm and seat the primer just by letting go of the arm. Another nice thing about having these bins back here is if you drop a primer, there's a pretty good chance it's going to fall into the bin. Another benefit of using the ram prime is that putting the primer into the cup up here is a lot easier to not drop one than working down here inside the press. And what happened just then was my primer flipped over and was in the cup upside down, which means that I couldn't have fired it. Now, since I do check these, since I do check each round, I dropped a primer. I had to retrieve it. But since I do check each round after I prime it, I would have noticed that. But then I would have had to do exactly what I just did. Somehow I ended up with one upside down anyway. So I actually have two over here now that I need to rework. So in the rework process, we're going to have to pop our die out, get our shell holder, and we'll have to remove our priming arm and the arm holder. And we're going to need our Lee decapping die. You've seen me set this up before. You die seems to be have some crud on it or something. You run your die down until it touches the ram. Drop the ram out of the way and give it about a quarter turn. Bring it up so that your ram locks the die in place. With Lee presses, you have to kind of hold that arm down with the cam over feature of the RCBS. It holds it in nice. I'm going to snug it, and then I'm going to take my let's get our depriming our primer collection diverter. Snap him in place. Raise the ram. Put our ram plug in place. Snug and holds in with magnets, so it's not going to go anywhere. Add our brass. Come up. And just gently deprime that bad boy. Very gently. Gently with this one also, because this one is actually an upside down. You don't want to hit that pin too hard. Could pop that off. All right. So now, take our ram plug back out. Remove our primer diverter. And I am going to dump those two out and see what was going on. Yeah, there's, you can see that primer had a deformation, had a little bit of a burr, and when I shoved it in, it actually ripped the side of the primer. So that is a bad primer. We're going to have to dispose of that one properly. I have a disposal jug over here, which deactivate it. It's got oil in the bottom of it. Store away our tool, and let's go ahead and pop our depriming die back out. And we're going to get our shell holder, put our rod holder back in, rod back in, run our ram prime die down, slight snug, shell holder back in the top, ram up. This primer I actually can reuse, so we're going to go ahead and set him in there. Grab one of our pieces of brass that we deprimed, and that's shoved in just really, really nice. And we need one more primer. Bring our ram up, set our primer in, make sure that he is seated the correct way, ram down, case in, primer in, and boom. We now have 32 primed pieces of 357 Magnum brass. So now let's go ahead and put everything away. Put our tray back in here. Put the drawer away. This is one of my 3D printed storage drawers for my rack up there. We're going to get our ram holder, shell holder goes back in the die box. Priming die. This is all ready to put away. Hang our tweezers up here. Everything in there. And we now have brass that's ready to go. So, I have a recommendation of 2,500 kbps. Yes. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, I do appreciate you stopping by, and hope you like and subscribe. Hope you found something interesting, something to occupy a little bit of your time, and that you enjoyed it. So, again, thanks for stopping by, and God bless, and see you on the other side.